we've really got a lineup this year and a group of stars that's going to take it to the next level.
I'm Terry Quillian, and I'll be in the starting lineup every Saturday morning with my hot take of the week.
I'm the legend from the Paul Feinbaum Show, and I'm in the starting lineup.
I guess I'm Keefer, and I'm part of the starting lineup. Make sure to check out my college picks each week on all of our starting lineup programs.
So make sure each week you're in the starting lineup.
The starting lineup, 10:30 to 11 on ABC 3340 every Saturday morning.
Oh, yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. It is the Super Bowl 59 edition of the starting lineup. I'm Tony Curry, along with my trusty partner, Kip Keefer. He's got his name all over this show. My friend, we got a monster game. Of course, they just played each other a couple of years ago, a 38-35 game, the third highest scoring Super Bowl in Super Bowl history. Now, all of a sudden, we've got a team that's much better defensively. We got a team going for a three-peat. I know Pat Riley's very happy about that because Pat Riley owns the rights to the
the three-peat. I forgot that.
So he owns the
Pat's
rights to
doing
three-peat. He's in Vegas right now putting some money on the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, no
He wants
kidding.
to see that happen. Aldo Greco, who, of course,
Mr. Super Bowl.
award-winning kicker, spent 20 years in the league, was in Super Bowl 34. I cannot believe that was 25 years ago.
The first Super Bowl of this century. In 2000.
Unbelievable. We're going to talk to him in just a few minutes. But
Yeah,
we have a very
Al's a tradition for us on Super Bowl Sunday.
Absolutely.
And we are thrilled to have him again this year.
I could think of no one else I'd want to have on a Super Bowl type of show than Aldo Greco. He'll join us in just a few minutes. But we have a very special guest, a man who's very close and dear to your
Because there's a
heart.
lot of, I understand there's a lot of wagering on the Super Bowl.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
okay.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little
So
bit.
I'm not mistaken on that.
No, you're not.
All right, good.
He is the executive director of editing for the Las Vegas Sun. He joins us on the show every single week, and we thought since it is Super Bowl, we have to find out
And
a
we
little
actually
bit
get
more.
to talk to him this week.
Yeah, we definitely going to have to get some props. We're going to get a side and total and everything else. You'll have all that stuff. By the way, go to K4Wins.com, K4Wins.com. If you miss anything that happens during the show, all the plays up free on K4Wins.com. Let's go to Case Keefer live in the desert. It is where the... How you doing, brother?
Yeah, not too bad. Excited for another Super Bowl. A little calmer around here this year as compared to last year where we made our host city debut. But yeah, still going to be a lot of action. We might fall short of that $173 million wagered in Nevada last year, which was the record, not being here. But yes, still should be plenty of action to get down here in Nevada.
And there's so many great storylines, and of course, the three-peat, there's a reason why no one's done it. It's because it's incredibly hard. And of course, you got Philadelphia last time they won a Super Bowl. Nick Foles was the quarterback, and here's Jalen Hurts coming off concussion protocol, and Saquon Barkley having this just unbelievable year. But what's the sense out in Las Vegas, ground zero, about how this game is going to go? Does it feel like it's going to play a high-scoring game? I mean, over-under is about 48.5. Philadelphia is the number one defense as far as an efficiency goes in the National Football League. And of course, I was interested in looking at some of the numbers. Kansas City's only averaging 21.9 points a ball game this year. They're 15th in the league. So this is not the highfalutin, high-scoring game. This could be like a low-scoring game. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly where the money's coming. I think I used this. I've written a lot about the game on LasVegasSun.com already. But, of course, in the NFC Championship, I believe the Eagles put up, 55 against the Commanders. The Chiefs only scored half that many twice the entire year. So, yeah, this is not the high-powered offense that you remember of past Chiefs teams. I know it's pretty similar to last year, but, I mean, especially the first time they played the Eagles, they were just a lot better with those explosive plays. As good as Patrick Mahomes has been, especially down the stretch, he hasn't been he's been one of the worst quarterbacks in the league at throws at 20-plus yards. So, yeah, I don't think that the betting market and the people that are shaping and putting a lot of money in aren't seeing this as the high-scoring game. Not a huge move, but, you know, we saw this open as high as 50.5 on the total, over under 50.5, now all the way to 48. That's a pretty big move for a Super Bowl. So, yeah, certainly there's a little bit of a sense that it could be lower scoring than some past Chiefs appearances. And also seeing the Eagles kind of take the more respected, the bigger action. They opened as high as 2.5-point underdogs. Now at the market making books, the Chiefs are a 1-point favorite. And I wouldn't be surprised if this even close pick or potentially even Philadelphia -1. I think it depends, though. If you go into a sports book and ask 100 people who's going to win, I think you're going to have 85 of them say the Chiefs because they have Patrick Mahomes. But as far as the betting market and the biggest bets and the people doing this for a living, I feel like there's a little lean towards the Eagles in the under.
And it kind of feels like, too, and maybe it's because we've been talking about that for so long, and Kelsey and Mahomes,
it seems like they've been together for 15 years. Obviously, one of the most prolific duos in NFL history. But it feels like the window is starting to close a little bit on these two guys winning another Super Bowl. Am I off here? Of course, we're talking about 5 Super Bowls in the last 6 years, and this would be back to back to back. So, I mean, it's not like they're falling off anywhere. But it feels like if they don't get it done this year, perhaps there won't be another one for a while.
I don't know. I would never doubt Patrick Mahomes at this point. I think he's just could keep getting there. But you are right. I mean, the NFL is designed for this not to happen. You're not supposed to be able to get to the Super Bowl this commonly. And, you know, in a testament to just how quickly things change, I used this stat in a column that I think ran today as well. I think the first time they faced in the Super Bowl, the Chiefs were like the youngest team in the playoffs, the second youngest team in the NFL. This was just 2 years ago. Now the Chiefs at the end of this year in snap weighted age, they're kind of like in the middle. I think they might have been like 13 or 14, and the Eagles are the way younger team. They're like the 5th youngest team in the league, and I think you see that on defense. They're so twitchy, really athletic. So yeah, I mean, it's just there's a constant roster churn in the NFL. The average career, I think, lasts just about 3 years. So it's kind of flipped now to where the Chiefs were like, even though they had already won a Super Bowl and been to another, they were kind of the young upstarts 2 years ago. Now they're the older team here. The Eagles are the one that have the youth advantage.
Case with a line like this, it's basically dead even. What is just a regular player? Talk about the advantages of just betting a game like this. Straight through a money line situation as opposed to just betting the traditional point spread. If you're a player this week in Las Vegas, which direction is best?
Yeah, well, sportsbooks wish it was probably not so close to the money line. We just don't have a big difference right now with it being a 1-point spread. And right now the Chiefs are, about minus 120 on the money line. So you lay minus 110 to lay a point, or minus 120. It's about the same. I mean, really, typically in Super Bowls, even if it's a little bit higher, 2.5, 3 plus, bettors really gravitate towards money lines. And you have these situations where bettors love to take the big outright underdog. I mean, I think one of the only 2 times Nevada's ever lost in the Super Bowl was when the Giants knocked off the Patriots because they had that big money line. So usually this is the biggest bet money line game of the year, and it still probably will be. It's the Super Bowl, but there's just not a whole lot of difference between the money line and the spread this week, just since. So I think you'll see that be a little bit different this year, but certainly that looms large most years.
When you start, of course, the most popular bets, I think, as time has evolved, is the individual players and their statisticals, also the team totals for points and such. Just kind of talk about how you approach this. Do you start with a player and look at all the props that are pertinent to that person? Let's say a Mahomes or a Saquon Barkley or an A.J. Brown. Do you start with a premise of, I think this guy is going to be a major factor in this game, or do you go the other way and just kind of let the prop decide what your opinion is? So I guess it's chicken or an egg question.
I mean, it's just all numbers based for me. So I think you try to get your projections, pull in some different sources, and try to get like exactly, this is what I think the mean outcome is going to be for this player. This is what the median outcome is going to be, and then you look at kind of where it is at different sports books. And frankly, I wish it was easier. It's just a little overwhelming during Super Bowl week. There's thousands upon thousands of prop bets, and even during the season, I know there's some great odds boards and you can look and see where everyone is at certain books, but the fact is Las Vegas is still pretty insulated with who has gaming licenses. There's sports books here that aren't really anywhere else, so it's really a lot of manual labor just scrolling through and seeing who's at where. But to me, I mean, the starting point's always the numbers, so I try to put a number on how much I would expect for example, Saquon Barkley to rush for, or Jalen Hurts to throw for, and then you go from there and see who has the best prices on the biggest delta between your number and what the sports books are posting.
Of course, you could have a Saquon Barkley over $125 at the last game, and he rolls off. I'm never going to stop talking about that.
Tony had 60 yards in the bank in one play.
60 yards in the first play, and I'm like cashing my ticket.
This was the easy game.
It's 118. That's why you never turn the game off. This will be the 6th time in Super Bowl history that we've had a former MVP playing the league's best defense. For the last 5 games, the defensive team ends up winning the Super Bowl, which of course would mean the Philadelphia Eagles would be winning Super Bowl 59. the one thing that Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City do so well is they don't make mistakes. They don't make unnecessary mistakes. And when you make a mistake, they make you pay. Do you see anything different here?
No, I mean that certainly is one of their biggest things. I mean, you can't disagree. That is, they kind of have this magic where they outperform any expectation. I mean, we've been talking about it ad nauseum, but 17 straight wins in one possession games, and a lot goes into that. The coaching goes into that, and not making mistakes. I agree with you. He's taking care of the ball so well. So, finally had a turnover in that Bills game, but that was the first time in a while. So yeah, I mean, you really have to take it from the Chiefs because they're not going to beat themselves.
You're watching the starting lineup here. Keefer, of course, the chief executive director. And, of course, he's also the editor there at the Las Vegas Sun. And, of course, yes, he has the same last name as Kip, his old man. The two of them are just fantastic there. Unbelievable when it comes to handicapping games. K4wins.com, K4wins.com. Check it out. We only have about 2 or 3 more minutes, and I don't want to miss any of your plays. Yeah, so let's go ahead. We got to have some sides. We have some totals. We'll start there. And then give me some props that are really sticking out to you, Case.
Yeah, I really hope I'm wrong because as I talked about last week on this show, the first bet I made this year, a bet I gave out on the starting lineup was the Chiefs 9-1 to win the Super Bowl. So I'm still riding that, but I just really like the Eagles here. I mean, everything just screams that the Eagles are the better team. I think the Chiefs have caught so many breaks this year. And I know people say, well, they've done it year in, year out. This Chiefs team, just by any metric, is not as good as the last few. I know they usually find a way to get it done, but to me, even if you adjust for all this Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid magic, I still don't see how you come out with the Chiefs as the favorite. I think it should probably be flipped, and the Eagles should be like 1.5. It's the NFL. Anything can happen. I hope I'm wrong. My heart says, please, Chiefs, get it done, preferably by 1 to 3 points, because I hedged a little bit and took some Philadelphia plus 3.5, minus 160. But I really kind of think they're up against it here. I mean, even last year, I know I picked San Francisco too, but you could at least make the argument that San Francisco had looked a little shaky towards the end of the year and Kansas City was coming on, that recency-wise, Kansas City was better. I mean, recency-wise, to me, Kansas City hasn't looked all that. The Buffalo win was great. The Houston win, they looked awful. They were outgained yards per play. They were like the first team ever in NFL history to win with their statistical profile against a Texans team that I don't think too highly of. Meanwhile, I mean, the Eagles are just stomping everyone. I know Hurts had a couple tough games coming off that concussion protocol, but that kind of fits with Norms. He looked great in the NFC Championship. This is a tough one for the Chiefs to me. I hope they pull it out. I hope they have some of that in-game magic. So I'm rooting for a 1 to 3 point Chiefs win, but my gut says the Eagles are going to do it, and so do my numbers. As far as props, I'm mainly a guy that's looking on unders and things not to happen. I think when there's this much money in the market, this many people coming in, that's the more shrewd strategy. I did bet under 50.5 overall in the game, all the way to 48 now. I still would lean that way, but I can't necessarily give that out and say, go run and bet it. I'm going to be looking for under for all the big game guys. Saquon Barkley, I mean, the Chiefs rush defense, this is the best run defense they've had in this run. I don't think he's going to get to like 125 yards again or whatever it is. I'd be looking under some of his long run props. I think the Chiefs, if Steve Spagnuolo is as good of a tactician as we've heard, and he's passed every test the last 2 years, I think they are going to sell out to stop Saquon Barkley. So I'll be fading Saquon Barkley. Godspeed to me, because that sounds tough. I really like Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown in this matchup. I think the Jalen Hurts MVP price is insane. He had one of the best Super Bowl performances ever in a losing effort a couple of years ago. He probably should have been the MVP regardless. Now you can get him 4-1 to win the MVP. When are you ever going to get a quarterback this talented? So I like that. I like A.J. Brown to do a lot of good things. But if it's not A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, I'm kind of high on Juju Smith-Schuster, who's gotten a ton of snaps, even though he hasn't had the production there. And Isaiah Pacheco, I really like. I think he's been hurt, but he's more talented than Kareem Hunt. I've heard so many people tout Kareem Hunt's the clear number one now. I'm not so sure. Pacheco's still been starting these games. They've gone to Hunt in the short yardage situations, but I think they're going to go with the hot hand. And Pacheco's had 2 more weeks to get better now. No one, I think, on the team would tell you that Hunt's the better running back. So that's really where I'm making a stand. I'm going to be fading Kareem Hunt. So if it's not Pacheco, Smith-Schuster, A.J. Brown, or Jalen Hurts, I'm going to be looking for unders. I'm going to be fading a lot. And yeah, hopefully for my sake, this game is like 17-14 Chiefs win. I don't want anything to happen. I doubt that's how it's going to play out. But I favor the Eagles, and I favor this not being quite the barn burner that a lot of people are making it out to be.
Great stuff, my man. Case Keefer live from Las Vegas. Joined us every single week right here on the starting lineup. Al Del Greco from Super Bowl 34 is also on the show right here with Kip and Tony.
Welcome back to Starting Lineup, along with Keefer. I'm Tony Curry. In between us, a very special guest. It's hard to believe, 25 years ago, Super Bowl 34, the year 2000. Aldo Greco joins us here in the Starting Lineup. Is that right?
Yeah. To think that I'm 8 years longer than I played, which seemed like a long time that I've been out of football, it's crazy. But life has been good.
Yeah,
so.
it sure is, and you've been blessed. I know God takes care of you. I was looking back at some of the things. An $8 million 30-second commercial cost $1.9 million back in Super Bowl 34,
Wow.
so quite a bit cheaper. Faith Hill sang the national anthem.
Yes.
Phil Collins and Tony Braxton were the halftime shows,
Pretty
which I thought was
strong.
really interesting. And I went back and looked, and obviously you guys didn't score in the first half. You come up and you tie that ball game 16-16. We know how it ended. I wanted to ask you, though, you're talking about a team in St. Louis. I mean, they were high flying, man. Kurt Warner, you had Isaac Bruce. I mean, they were up and down the fastest team on turf. Before you took the field that day and you're sitting there in the locker room, what was one or two things that you knew as a Tennessee Titan you had to do to win that game against the St. Louis Rams? Because for the most part, you shut them down defensively.
Yeah, I think when we looked at it, obviously Eddie George was one of our main features, running the football. That's kind of how we were as a team, run the football first. And then Steve wasn't quite the passer that he became when he went to Baltimore, but was still really good at what he did. And, you know, you look back on that game and look at some of the plays that he made to keep us in the game, especially on that final drive. Eddie had a great touchdown run where I think he broke 2 or 3 tackles to get in the end zone. So the game plan kind of went the way we thought. We just gave up that one play right after we tied the game, and I'll go back and Javon Curse, if he's a half a second sooner, the ball doesn't get to Isaac Bruce.
Yeah.
If he's a half a second later, or excuse me, sooner he sacks him, half a second later the ball's underthrown and he doesn't catch the ball. So it was not meant to be. We had an exciting drive at the end and got tackled on the 1 yard line, which every year that I watch that thing, it's as painful as it was the day that it happened, knowing we were that close.
Because what Kevin Dyson getting stopped this close to the goal line took away was Al Del Greco's moment. I'm convinced.
Yeah.
I've seen it in my head. Overtime, first Super Bowl ever in overtime. I see Al teeing up a 48-yard field goal, splits the uprights.
Yeah.
Titans win. Al Del Greco is a Super Bowl legend forever. And then stupid Mike Davis ruined everything.
I didn't, and I didn't realize that until about a month after the game. That obviously you're in the moment of the game, and we're trying to tie the game. Good chance it would have come down to a field goal, but you have to give Mike Jones a lot of credit on that. Not only because he made the tackle, but the play was introduced so that Frank Wycheck went behind him. We expected him to go with Frank, and that left it underneath for Kevin, and he played it exactly as he could. He took 2 steps back in his drop. Steve read the play correctly. Kevin gets the ball, and he makes a great tackle right there. So
Yeah, it really was, and of course it'll be known for that play. And of course I remember it was a big .com Super Bowl too. I remember a lot of the .coms came out of the woodwork in 2000, so it was such a weird time back then. You know, it was interesting too that I went back and did some research because you guys had just recently, I would say within a few years, you had left the Houston area and you had just gotten the Titans moniker. You had gotten rid of the Oilers when you come to Tennessee. And of course, the Rams had just come from L.A., and so you had a couple of supplanted teams coming in, find themselves, and of course we knew the Rams, they were a lousy team the night or the year before, and there they are at Super Bowl 34 getting after it. What do you think about this game coming up on Sunday, and having played in a Super Bowl, which is just amazing, and I know how much it hurts that you didn't win that. You don't have the ring to show for it. What does it do for your psyche when you know you're getting ready to watch a game that you were actually in?
I mean, it's been a long time, so obviously knowing that you've been there is something that I cherish and will stick with me forever. But when I watch a Super Bowl now, you kind of look at the matchups, and I kind of see this both ways. I think it would be great if the Chiefs could three-peat, be the first team ever to do that. But I also think people are tired of the Chiefs and all the commercials and all the Taylor Swift stuff and all that it would be great for the Eagles to win as well. So,
even the kicker's controversial. Harrison Butker got in all kinds of trouble last year.
Yeah, he did.
And he was injured part of the year, so he sat out a few games. But I think when it comes down to it, you're looking at two teams. Saquon Barkley, that deal maybe the best free agent deal in the history of the NFL.
Yeah.
You go back to Hard Knocks when the owner of the Giants is saying, well, I don't know how I'm going to feel if I see Saquon in an Eagles jersey. How do you think he feels this week? Now he's in the Super Bowl and rushed for 2,000 yards. But that being said, you got the Chiefs over there, and I was listening to you guys in the first segment, and I kind of agree. They've made their way through it, but they haven't looked like the Chiefs we've seen the last 2 years that have been that dominant. I do think the Eagles' dominance in the NFC Championship game was a little bit of a fluke. Turnovers and just the game kind of spiraled out of control a little bit. But when it comes down to it, I think running the football is going to be important for both teams. Kareem Hunt and Pacheco, you got the duo there. You got Saquon on the other side. But like all things, if you look at all the playoff games that we had this year, turnovers is always the biggest factor. If both teams can take care of the football, you're going to see a really, really good football game.
And right now they rank 6th and 9th overall, Kip, in turnover ratio, so they're both good at taking the ball away.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty elementary in football. It comes down to who makes the biggest mistake at the most critical time, and you have to think that's going to be a major factor here. Is which team blinks, which team has an untimely fumble. Statistics in the regular season are different. This is the ultimate pressure cooker game. The slightest miscalculation or mistake can completely turn it around. So I think like most Super Bowls, that's going to be a big key.
And I do wonder if the refs will have a part in this game, because we've looked and saw what happened to Patrick Mahomes the last couple of ball games. Everyone knows what's going on. He's getting the calls. He's running to the sideline. He stops, and of course he's jumping in. And listen, kudos to him. I mean, he's doing everything he can to get the call, right? I mean, he's barely getting touched, and of course they're getting rough for the passer. But I think we're going to set the standard really early in this ball game. We're going to find out right off the bat if they're going to let him play or not.
Now, you've been in that environment. I think this is going to work against everybody. Says Mahomes gets every call. I think now there's so much anti-sentiment from the league office and even from the Referees Association. I think it's going to work against them. I think they're going to be going out of their way. Tell me if I'm wrong. I think they're going to go out of their way not to make calls for Mahomes.
I would tend to lean that way too. And you go back to the championship game with Buffalo. There were a couple calls in that game that should have went Buffalo's way, but they did not. I think there was one face mask that was plain as day.
Yep.
There was no call made on the play, and it was an important. The 3rd and 1 or the 4th and 1, I thought he had the first down, the quarterback, but they rule it. Especially when you watch the refs. The one guy comes in from the top and is across the yard line, and the other guy at the bottom is behind it. I'm like, how do you see it two different ways like that?
2025.
Crazy.
This is 1930s technology. Two kind of fat guys waddling in from 25 yards, one sticking their foot in the ground. It's absurd.
It was crazy.
It really was.
And I think the one stat that I saw that really is amazing, and you have to give Patrick Mahomes credit here, is you look at Tom Brady, you look at some of the great quarterbacks that ever played in championship football. I think Tom Brady was 50% when his team was behind by 3 or 7 to come back on the last drive and either tie or win the football game. Patrick Mahomes is 100% in his career. So whether you're a statistical guy or not, do you go with it? It's bound to change sooner or later. Can't do it forever. But he's done it forever.
And I honestly think Jalen Hurts has to play like Patrick Mahomes. And that is to say, you don't need to put up 400 yards. You don't need to throw 70%. You just don't need to make any mistakes. You got a guy that's going to run for 150 and 120 yards. He's going to break one. Saquon Barkley's been unbelievable. That offensive line, no one's talking about their old line and what a wonderful job they've done this year. But no one's talking about the defense. We all say defense wins championships. Philadelphia's number in defensively deficiency this year. They're number 1 in the National Football League, playing a team
mostly
that ranks
SEC
15th.
guys, by the way.
Yeah, and I mean, it's amazing because you look at Kansas City, and you just keep thinking about these explosive plays. You think about these Andy Reid trick plays and stuff. They really haven't done it this year, but I'm not poo-pooing on them. They deserve to be there. They're fantastic. But the fact that they'd be 18-1 against the spread, if you gave them a couple extra points, that's how close the games were. It makes you think to yourself, okay, why in the world would I even bet against this team because they're so good at it, or is it just their time?
I, from a kicker standpoint, because you're one of the best in terms of your percentage of being successful, does it amaze you these days that a 55 or a 58-yard field goal has become kind of routine.
It's crazy when you think about it. And then the other thing I like to tell people is you look at the kickoffs, and granted they changed the kickoff rule, and that's a little bit different. I don't think it changed much because there's still a bunch of touchbacks, but they do it in both directions. You don't feel the wind on the television set, obviously, but usually there was always a predominant wind where you knew you could kick a 55-yarder this way, but it was only 50 the other way, or kickoffs weren't going to reach the end zone. They do it both ways. It's unbelievable. And I think, the main reason, obviously, I think they're better athletically than we were back in the day. They're a lot bigger. They're a lot stronger. But I do think another main component to that is the field conditions. You don't see games played in the mud or a field that just has ruts, and most of the fields are in really good condition. Most are artificial. And it was difficult. You go to Green Bay in December or November, there wasn't a whole lot of grass on the field. And then you had the baseball stadiums that overlaid the football field. So I think that plays a big role in it too. But man, they're just really good.
We got 1 minute left. We went up to the Titans Stadium, Nissan Stadium, to see my Bengals play the Titans just a few years back. And there was this smoking hot, good-looking girl, man. I mean, she was rocking, and she had Del Greco on the back of her jersey. And I was like, tell him the bone is scoring. I've got my wingman right here. And I walked up and said, oh, you're a Del Greco fan? She goes, I love him. And I turned around and I said, boom, right there. And she just could not believe I was hanging with that. Of course, she looked at him the entire night and didn't even look at this big schnoz. But everything. Hey, I love you, man.
Always
Thank
a
you
pleasure.
So much for coming. Anytime.
It's so good to have you on the Super Bowl
you
every
betcha.
year. We're your biggest fans, and I always admired so much your golf game as well. Real quick, I think I asked you last year, right before we have to go, the fact that you were such an accomplished golfer and field goal kicker, a lot of those crafts are very similar, and I'm always kind of struck by that from the routine and the execution standpoint. And just speak to that real quick as we go out.
Yeah, it's very much the same, but I think most guys would tell you, especially the ones I played with, I had too much time on my hand at practice, so I got to practice golf.
This guy is a phenomenal player. Folks may not realize it. As accomplished he was as a kicker, equally as accomplished as a golfer.
You're watching the starting lineup. One of our great handicappers on K4Wins.com. K4Wins.com is Kai Gregory. He's with Southern Precision Staffing. He does all kinds of great stuff with staffing. You need any staffing at all, carpentry work, any construction work, anything else, 205-682-2828 and Southern Precision Staffing. SPS, they're fantastic. Where your word and your handshake still means something. They're right here in Hoover, Alabama, serving the United States of America, 205-682-2828. Also one of our brand new sponsors, Spy4Rent, Spy4Rent.com. 790-3051, surveillance, bug sweeps, divorces, child custody. You need some information on somebody, man, they're the best. They are as stealthy as it gets. You will never know they even came into the room. Check out Spy4Rent.com, Spy4Rent.com. And Kip Keefer is going to be going to the Woodhouse Day Spa soon to get himself a rub down. We tried to do it here live on the show, but the FCC said no. But we're going to try to do that anyway. They do wonderful work at the Woodhouse Day Spa. Birmingham.woodhousespas.com. Birmingham.woodhousespas.com. Give them a call at 905-76. Yes, Valentine's Day coming up for that baby. Make sure you get her the Woodhouse Day Spa gift card and get it done now.